So, dude, I've been dying to ask you about Righteous Gemstones. Like,
Yeah.
so you play the past version of John Goodman, right? You basically play John Goodman's character, but when he was young.
Yeah, correct.
And you are. Can you walk me through like that character and what like I've only seen the first episode of this season. I haven't seen all of the ones that are out yet. But.
So I think the coolest part about that role for me, I mean, aside from the fact that I played a young John Goodman, because that in itself was just incredible. But
yeah, that's sweet.
It kind of set up the whole season, and that's something from a writer's perspective that I really understand now. And the average viewer may not like recognize that, but my scenes, the 5-6 minutes I had of scene time, camera time, it really set up the whole season, which is really cool. That says a lot to me. Danny McBride being the creator and writer along with his partners, that character was very important to the show. So it meant a lot to me, that booking. And it was I loved the show. The first season was so good that when I got the audition, I was actually in Chicago working on a documentary for our production company, and it jumped off the page. Before you're reading for cop 1, lawyer 2, doctor 2. This one was young Eli Gemstone, and I immediately had my brother. He was out in Chicago for the weekend just because so we could enjoy a new place together. And I looked at him. I told him, I was like, Bryant, I've got to lock myself in a room for this one.
Yeah.
And that's what I did for the next couple of days. And then I auditioned with my partners in Chicago in the hotel room, and I made it my own, man. The writing was obviously incredible, but I really made it my own. I said a lot of stuff that I felt young Eli would have, and it worked. But
so in making it your own, are you inserting dialogue is it on the page or just how you say it?
Inserting dialogue. Yeah, inserting dialogue, and even to the point, David, you hop into class. I'd love talking to you about this. I'll send you the original audition script I have versus my audition. And
yeah, no, I'd love to. So I'm going to be taking an acting class in a couple of months that Jake recommended. That's what Jake's referring to, and I'm so excited. I'm going to go to Atlanta and I have no idea what you
as a comedian, my friend.
What's that?
It's going to elevate you just as a stand-up comedian.
Hopefully, I just
will, man.
It's kind of freaks me out, so that's why I want to try it, and it's exciting,
and that's what we talked about. It is exciting, feeding those fears. But I think even if it comes down to you and just creating a joke out of it, it's something great is going to come out of that for you. So I was really excited you texted me about that.
Mm-hmm.
But
so yeah, what you actually had in front of you in terms of the script was different from what you ended up representing in the rehearsal or in the audition.
So much to the point to where I got to set in Charleston, and we were there for filming my first day, and I was like, well, improvising worked for me in the audition, so I'll just do it in the scene. And I did it in the first couple of takes, and Jody Hill, who directed the first portion of the first episode, came up to me and he was like, hey, let's just stick to the script. Let's just stick to the script here. But I'm glad I tried that. That's and that's what you got to do as an actor, bring your own flavor to something. And and then they're really good about that, man. They want you to do that, and they encourage that. But their writing is so good, and it's so intentional. As ridiculous as it is, the comedy, it's still great storyline and great plot. Mm-hmm. So you got to trust your script and that, and then your writers. But it was a dream, man. It was such a cool set, and I'll never forget my first day. It was if you remember the dinner scene when I took the slap there. Spoiler, but I was sitting at that was the first scene we shot, and I was sitting at that table, and I was so nervous. I was so nervous about to do the scene. And around the corner, they're setting up the camera and everything. Danny McBride peeks his head around the corner, and he just kind of gave me a little head nod, and it just relaxed me. It immediately was just like, I'm supposed to be here.
He just gave you a head nod,
he just gave me a little head nod,
bro.
It was just yeah, and it was just so simple, but it was just I'm supposed to be here right now. Kenny fucking Powers just came in and give me a head nod. It was cool, man. It was a nod of approval, is what we'll call it. But working with them was a dream. It was truly a dream. It spoiled me. The role, I don't know if I'll ever have a cooler role than that. I just don't know if I will. But
that's cool though that you don't know.
Yeah, I agree.
And I agree. Yeah, so he was involved because he's the writer and creator of that story. So he was on set and you got to work with him.
Yeah,
Beyond
yeah, he
that
was on set every
interaction,
day.
you also.
Yeah, Danny, they run the show, man. He's got the dream situation. Danny went to school with a lot of those guys, film school in North Carolina, and they've been working together since on everything. And you know, he's the face of it, but there's so many. All of those guys are just geniuses, man. They're comedic geniuses. And I mean, it was a pleasure working with him. David Gordon Green ended up directing the second portion of the first episode. And this is something that like this is the type of thing that I find fascinating, and I think it's really cool. He also directed. They have the rights to the Halloween movies.
Okay.
So David Gordon Green, who directed the second portion of a lot of my scenes, also directed the past 2 Halloween movies. And it's just
How
like,
crazy is that, dude?
that is just like, man, growing up watching those, like, who would have thought, you know?
Yeah.
Like, and I think that's the type of stuff that the film nerd in me comes out, and I'm just like, that's just the coolest thing to me, man.
Yeah.
So, yeah, man, but they're a dream, man. They're a
So
dream.
Danny McBride, is he a pretty cool guy off
Coolest dude in
screen?
the world. Coolest dude in the world.
Yeah.
Daddy came up to me, my first conversation with him, and he looked me directly in the eyes and he said, "Thank you for doing this." And I was just like, "Thank you for doing this."
You're thanking me, bro.
Yeah,
like
thanking me.
I would do this shit for free.
He's just that type of guy, and I think it says a lot that he up and moved his family to Charleston. You know,
Yeah.
and like that says a lot about, you know, him as a person. Even though it's so simple, it's just like he didn't need all the glamour and the jazz. He just worked with his friends, and he was able to do that in Charleston, and still is. And so the coolest thing, the whole cast, or the whole crew, I'm sorry, you know, everybody from makeup, wardrobe, they've worked on all his previous stuff. It's a family. It's a Rough House family, and it's the coolest thing to me, man. They're all just such good friends, and they welcome me like I was, you know, been there for years. So
cool. That's like Danny McBride's crew, basically, all of his friends, and they've worked together on other. Have they worked on other projects? Were they involved with Eastbound and Down?
Eastbound and Down. So the majority of the crew definitely came together with Vice Principals.
Vice Principals. I love that show too.
So fantastic. And obviously you see a lot of the same actors, you know, brought on the Righteous Gemstones as well. So he's really good about, you know, working with people that he enjoys working with, and kind of, you know, taking them along for the ride. But it's deserved on there. And I mean, Walton Goggins, like, is there a better talent in the world? Like, you know, so, but Edie Patterson, like, they're just incredible. But yeah, man, it was really cool, man. But the last thing, we shut down for COVID, and we broke for a full year. And again, kind of the same thing he said to me off the bat, but he said, I hope you'll consider come back and doing this again. It's just like, man, like, I was doing a student film for $15 last week. Like, you tell me when, I will be there. I will be there.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
It was cool, man. They got approved for a season 3, so we'll see.
That's
see
awesome.
If they decide to bring young Eli back. But,
well, everybody watch it. Who's listening to that? I mean, we're not gonna get a huge bump off of this show, but
yeah, hey man, hey, every view counts. That's for sure.
Yeah,
that's for sure. Give me the residuals.
Yeah, absolutely. So, dude, Danny McBride, dude, he is. It kind of throws me off picturing him as a nice person, because his characters, I would expect him to be like, "Sup, douchebag."
Yeah, but this is the end guy, you know.
Yeah. Just like, I picture him in the buddy comedies, and, you know, just his hysterical characters.
Right. Man, I think that's the coolest thing, and it was able to have a conversation with him, and many times, you know, we'd be filming in a warehouse, and it was, you know, half of it they were doing my throwback scenes, and the other half they're doing present day scenes. So I was able to have conversations with him, and then watch him go into work and just get in that mindset of Jesse Gemstone, you know. And you're right, man. It's just it was really, really like refreshing just seeing like this different person than what he's always portrayed on camera.
Yeah.
But he's a filmmaker, man. He's a film nerd. He's a film nerd, and that was really cool to see and talk to him about a lot of his previous work. We talked about, you know, love for Tarantino, which I think everybody who loves film does. But it's just it was really, really nice and cool to be able to sit down and have this conversation.
But he's a big Tarantino fan.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Found a lot of inspiration and a lot of different people when he was growing up, and you see it in his work in a lot of ways, for sure. For sure.
Did you talk to John Goodman at all?
Man, no, I did not. I never got the opportunity to meet John, and that's something that, like, it's kind of eating at me. But I think you know, after the COVID thing, they were really kind of very strict about, you know, who's crossing whose path.
Yeah.
He's
a little older too now.
Yeah, he is. Even though he's still killing it, absolutely
right.
killing it in that role. But about the only thing I can take away from that is the fact that I can pretty much assure that he has watched my footage of how I was breaking the thumbs and whatnot, and that was satisfying enough for me. You know, it was like, all right, you know, that I'll take that. You know, but hopefully one day, man, and I might write him a letter or something, give it to his representation to get to him. You know, just to say how much I've always looked up to him and whatnot. Because he has been, he's been a film icon for me for so long. You know, do you remember The Borrowers? You remember that movie?
The Borrowers.
I'm
looking it up right now.
This is an older movie, but so much to the point, man, where I just like I didn't even know who he was when I was watching him as a kid, but he was always so compelling, and he captured a screen so well. If you haven't seen it, you remember that movie?
Yeah, I haven't seen it, but I can see a little GIF of John Goodman busting through a door.
Oh yeah,
I'm already laughing.
You should check that movie out, man. You'd enjoy that. But I'd reference that movie because it came out when we were so young, and that was like a big one for me and my siblings. And it just like I didn't know who he was, but I loved it. I loved it, you know, and I loved him, and it was really cool, man. It still is. People calling him Maniac Kid, you know, throughout the season.
The Maniac Kid, bro.
It gives me chills every time, and every time somebody calls John Goodman the Maniac Kid, it's really cool.
Yeah, that's awesome.